Hi, I'm Gene Jordan with Broom Tioga BOCES. I'd like to provide you with a curriculum overview for the modules Pre-K to 5. I'm with the Professional Development and Resource Center here at the Instructional Support Center. Today's outcomes will be to look at the emphasis areas that will have the largest focus in the new curriculum, look at the structure of the modules, and look at any instructional changes that will be expected in the modules. The modules are coming from a company called Common Core Incorporated in their writing groups. They go to NYSED, the State Ed Department, for teacher review, and then they're released on Engage New York website, engagenewyork.org. Useful documents to have to help you give an overview of your grade level or grade levels will be the PARC framework documents that will give you some of the emphasis areas. It's especially useful in the high school and middle school, but it also has a lot of information for Pre-K to 5. The documents that we'll be using a lot today will be a curriculum overview document, also called Story of Units. Provides us with a sequence of topics, testing calendar, and an outline of the courses. The construct of all the materials that we have. Within the Story of Units, you will see a scope and sequence and a grade level overview. These two documents are found in the Story of Units. When you actually receive your first module, you will have a grade 5 module, for example, and it will contain actual topics and lessons as well as other useful information. The module overview found in the Story of Units gives you an outline of not only the modules that will be teaching in what sequence, as well as the dates that you will be finishing or around finishing those modules. So it gives you a brief outline of both the year as well as the entire Pre-K to 5 classrooms. Within the overview document, Story of Units, you will also see all the grade levels and cohesion, which is a nice way to get a good overview for both grade levels and across the building. Within the modules overview, you will see information on modules we don't have. For example, in grade 5, we don't have module 2 yet as of July 2013, but they provide you not only the days that you'll have to teach it, but the key learning standards we have. And so when we do get those, this provides sort of a skeleton of what will be provided later and how to organize maybe possible topics. Within the module itself, for example, in the grade 5 module 1, you'll see the table of contents using a system of measurement. For example, if you look at topic A, it's labeled 1A1, and that represents the module, the first number, and the second character will be the topic or section within the module, and the last number 1 will represent the actual page number within that unit or topic. And I say topic or section because even though we have A through F topics covered, we also have a supplementary section where the assessments will be found. Within the module overview, you will see a distribution of instructional minutes. Never before have we seen so much detail, so it's important to understand the 4 main components of a lesson will be the fluency, the concept development, the application problem, as well as the debrief. And you'll see how those are found throughout the day, and it gives you a nice overview. If you have your module overview module open right now, especially module 1, if you don't mind pausing the video, go ahead and read through that overview. That will give you a good help on the focus and the foundational standards. So I'll briefly pause. Thank you for reading through the overview. As you'll see right after the overview, you should have a good understanding of the topics that will be taught, but what will be the topics that will be required of students before they enter into this module, because, for example, this being the first module in 5th grade, you'll see all the foundational standards are coming from 4th grade. That's critical, I think, for any of the regular ed students you might have who are struggling for remediation, for below grade level students, and I think it's especially useful for our AIS teachers out there to have the foundational standards that the students will need to be successful with this module. The focus standards will be the parts of the module that are at grade level and are going to be the most important, as it is implied by focus. You will see in all the modules a coherent lesson, which is probably one of the better qualities of the modules, and what it brings to you in your teaching is that every grade level ties into another previous grade level and the grade level after in a cohesive way. So you can see this, for example, coherence across grade levels with operation and algebraic thinking, and how that leads into fractions in 4th grade. There's 3 instructional focus areas I look at in the modules, and I break it down into application, fluency, and conceptual. Before we get into that, I'd like to understand there are a lot of questions with the modules. Well, usually one is involving when we will get them. The teachers will get a lot of their modules before we teach it this school year, so you could conceivably teach your first modules this 2013-14 school year. Will they be ready all for the school year? We assume so, but we certainly hope so. Everything is supposed to be done by the summer of 2014. Who is providing all the teaching materials? School districts and classrooms will need all of the hands-on materials. Not all of those you might have. For example, Rec and Recs and number discs are 2 materials outlined and used, but most schools don't have them. The assessments themselves are a little bit different than before. Assessments are geared towards teaching, a progression of lessons with embedded review every day, and then a mid-module assessment, for example, is given, and then a day or 2 of remediation is provided after those at some point. It doesn't have to be consecutively after the assessment test day. But the remediation takes place, additional instruction takes place, and then an end of module assessment with remediation days as well. Let's begin with the instructional changes in fluency. One of the hallmark fluency activities is a sprint, but it's important to understand that as important and good as a sprint is, it is a culminating activity. It's an activity used for students to show off what they know. As you're beginning fluencies, whether it's multiplication, addition, or fractions, decimal numbers, multiplication with fractions, whatever fluency you're working on, it's probably advisable to start with whiteboards, and that's the techniques that are used in the modules. You'll see students do whiteboard activities. As they build up towards a fluency, they will move towards choral activities, or what we call here math moves, where they involve movement. After activities involving choral exercises and math moves, you have the final culminating activity is sprints. Beyond fluency, we have a conceptual understanding piece found in and that's the modeling. And the modeling is designed to help our students bridge their thinking from a concrete understanding to pictorial to abstract. And they should be encouraged to move both ways. For the student who understands what 4 plus 4 plus 4 is, they have a good understanding of abstract numbers and operations. It's important for them to go the other way as well. By the prompt, for example, draw a picture of an abstract thinking like 4 plus 4 plus 4 to deepen their understanding. It shows their thinking. It also allows them to explain, defend, and critique the reasoning of others as well as themselves. You'll see kids at a younger age tackle operations and algebraic thinking with that same bridge of the concrete to the pictorial to final the actual abstract, in this case a equation with a variable. There's many models to talk about that I can't get to during a brief overview, but you'll see some are new to you and some are, many, I believe, will be familiar to you. The base 10 blocks, the money work, the place value charts, the area models, the 10 frames, and hopefully even the rec and recs might be familiar to you. Some students might not recognize the number path or number tower, and some students may have never worked with bar diagrams, also called tape diagrams, in the modules. And so those are the models you might want to look at. You can look for resources on my website or Engage New York for additional information on any of those. The number line model, of course, is the primary model, the used pre-K to 12. It is the most important model that the students will be using from kindergarten onward. Some strategies. Tape diagrams are going to be very common as well, and it's important to understand how to use them, but I will not be going heavily into it. If you'd like to solve this problem, go ahead and pause now. I'll give you an example of how to solve it with a tape diagram, but I'm going to go relatively quickly through the piece and allow it to speak for itself. So if you're on a video, you can pause it and do your work now. And there's the explanation piece. It's hopefully self-explanatory, and I will move on. That's an example of using tape diagrams to solve a problem. Double number lines are used as well, usually in middle school, so I will briefly go through these, and you can see how they work with additional pieces later. There's the final piece of the puzzle for instructional is application, and a key part of the application is the read, draw, write. And the read, draw, write model is built around the students carefully reading a problem, the modeling, or I should say mirroring some of the strategies that they're using in ELA with close reads, and especially close reads of nonfiction text. They're going to be drawing a model of what they read. After reading the problem twice, I should say, make sure they read it to themselves after a choral read. The third step is to, after drawing the model, which can take time, write an equation or number sentence to describe the situation or answer the problem. And then final thing is to write an answer statement. I think the most rigorous answer statement should include a unit, an object, and a context. So for example, it could be 5 pounds of flour was left. Pounds, of course, is the unit, flour is the object, and left is the context. Here's an example of an application problem. If you would like to solve it, go ahead and solve it now. The work shown is showing how they use the place value chart to solve this application problem. Note that the problem allows 10 minutes to solve, and solving that problem probably will not take that long for some of your students. However, the important piece of the application problem is that they draw the work and are able to explain it to another. So we've talked about the RDW, or the RDWW if you prefer. To wrap up, to give you an idea of what a Common Core lesson would look like throughout the modules is like an overview of the entire modules. You tend to have a fluency task every day, not necessarily in the beginning, that lasts 6 to 10 minutes. You'll notice a characteristic of modeling, where they are having to draw and show their mathematics and explain it. And those are found both in concept development and application times. And at the end, there will be a pair sharing or a time to explain their work during the debrief. And one of the most important, and one of the pieces I think most teachers have done in the past, but not necessarily daily, is the exit ticket, a daily formative assessment on the topics that students are learning to prove that they actually know it. And so that's one of the things that will be incorporated into all the modules. Within the modules, you'll see teachers have homeworks. You'll see them have problem sets, also known as worksheets. And you will see them provided with exit tickets and exams. All of those will need to be copied, and also provided will be a script of all of the lessons. The that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching my first video that covers the module unpacking. You can find more information on my website, Engage New York, and always email me if you have any questions. Thank you.